bids for the Canfield Center.
Call the meeting to order. Clerk, would you read the roll, please?
Dave Abdallah.
Here.
Thomas Berry is absent. Robert Constant.
Here.
Lisa Hicks Clayton.
Here.
Margaret Horvath.
Here.
Joseph Kosinski.
Here.
Ray Muscat.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. And we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight by our Recreation Director, Ken Greiber.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The next item, we need to have a moment of silence. We learned today that our longtime district court judge, Leo Ferran, passed away. Steve Roberts, the chair of our watersheds, co-chair of our Watershed Stewards Commission, passed away, and longtime DPW employee Joanne Coombs. So if we could all have a moment of silence. Thank you. Next, we have a presentation by the City Hall volunteers from Crestwood High School National Honor Society.
Excuse me.
It was canceled. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve the order of business November 14th, 2017, regular meeting of Dearborn Heights City Council as presented.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the October 24th, 2017 meeting. Councilman Kozinski.
The formal meeting held in Dearborn Heights City Council dated October 24, 2017, as submitted.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 5, any comments on pending agenda items? Any comments on items pending on our agenda tonight?
I just want to clarify, maybe that's from the public.
From the public. Anybody in the audience want to comment on items pending on our agenda? Hearing none, the next item is tabulation of bid and contract award for Cdbg fiscal year 2015 Good Neighbor Program.
Current claims, Mr. Chairman.
Number 6. We got
Number 6, I'm sorry, fund transfers and current claims.
Yeah.
1 through 47.
Move that the claims listed on this agenda, numbering 1 through 47, be approved as submitted.
Mr. Chair?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Horvath. Discussion. Controller?
Yes, if we could remove number 44. That has already been paid through a previous council motion.
What was the number? I'm sorry.
44.
Item 44.
It's a Alta survey for the Warren Valley Golf Course. That made it through, it was already approved in a previous agenda.
So current claims 1 through 47 with the deletion of claim 44.
And correct the agenda as indicated by verbal communication of the controller.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Muscat.
I was going to question that 644, but I have another one. 69, Cannon truck equipment from the water department. This is a boom truck, correct? Why would water pay for something that's going to be used for tree trimming and changing light bulbs?
It may be a water department account, but it will be charged to highway department repair and maintenance.
Well, I'd like to have that noted and have the backup presented for the next council meeting. If we can do that, please.
I will.
Thank you very kindly.
Any other comments or questions?
What number was that?
That was 69.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of the original motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda, item 7A, tabulation of bid and contract award for the Cdbg fiscal year 2015 Good Neighbor Program, Joy Road demolition.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move the council award a bid for demolition of 23415 Joy Road, which is a low bidder and it should be awarded to the Macmillan Group for the recommendations of Cdbg Director Auction. All the details presented in item
7A.
7A.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion?
For the amount of 9,800.
Right.
I just want to make sure. And just in case for the neighbors, just to clarify that it's going to be done by December the 1st.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the original motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 8A for Mayor Dan Pleco, appointments to the Local Officers Compensation Commission.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
is this a received note and file?
I believe so.
I move that the council receive note and file the Local Compensation Commission.
I think it's concurrent.
I think it's a concurrent.
Are those mayoral appointments, or are they?
They're mayoral appointments, but they may require a concurrence from,
Okay, concur, okay. Vince Macari, Rose Trepepi, Don Killian, Michelle Kramars, Carolyn Jackson, and Ali Sharara, as outlined in 9A.
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the original motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9A from Administrative Assistant Laszlo, abatement, demolition, and property restoration of 23410 Hanover, 23470 Hanover, and 23480 Hanover, under the Hazard Mitigation Grant. Councilman Abdullah.
Mr. Chair, I move City Council approve the contract for the abatement and demolition of the structures and restoration of the properties just mentioned on Hanover, and not to exceed $50,300, and authorize payment upon successful completion as outlined in 9A.
Second by Councilman Kozinski.
Are these, Mr. Chair?
Any discussion?
Are these the
Chair.
last of the houses?
I think there's still some more.
yeah, there's a couple more.
We have one more to be demolished, Patrick's old house, and then we have 3 more to still be bought.
Okay.
And then we also have the alternates to
Councilman
that.
Abdullah?
So, Christine, I had a question for you, if you don't mind. I know on some of the quotes that we had in the past, they were in the ballpark between $10,000 and $12,000, $10,000 and $14,000, but I see one here at $20,850. Now, I do realize that Macmillan Group at one point came back and said they had to do some abatement because of some asbestos situation. One of these here is $20,850, which seems to be quite drastically higher. What is the purpose of the major difference, if you don't mind?
This is the first time I didn't include the 150-page hazardous abatement report from Performance. On that one, it's loaded with asbestos all on the back. It's on not the shingles, but the back side of the house is on.
The siding?
Yes, the siding all has that. So it's pretty much, it all has to be abated. So it's not the actual demolition of the house, it's the abatement. Some of the homes are different too, because some of the homes are much larger than the other homes. But this one, it's because of the abatement.
Primarily because of the asbestos abatement.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the original motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Next item on the agenda, item 9B from Human Resource Director Elizabeth Sabota Perry, Employee Assistance Program.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move City Council approves to continue the contractual relationship for the Employment Assistance Program provider, Alliance, as outlined in 9B.
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9C, also from Human Resources Director Sabota Perry, Plant Moran Benefits Advisors. $860556056 reporting assistance and HCM file.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
the council agree with Sabota Perry, the Home Resource Department Director, and continue to engage with Plant Moran as a benefits advisor. All detailed in item 9C, dated on the 11/6/2017.
Is there
Second.
support?
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
This, the comment should be made with regard to this expense. It has to do with conforming to the Affordable Care Act with regard to health care expenses.
And we got some guidance from Plant Moran. The next item on the agenda, item 9D, from Fire Chief Brogan, purchase of 3 Stryker Power Pro XT cots with performance loading plates.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move to approve Fire Chief David Brogan's request to purchase 3 Stryker Power Pro XT cots with performance loading plates. Their total cost is $54,073. This includes installation. The AFG grant will cover $32,400. The remaining balance of $21,673 will come from capital outlay with payment upon receipt as outlined in 9D.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, also from Fire Chief Brogan, tuition payment for IAAF peer fitness class.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve payment for the cost of the IAFF peer fitness class that we will be hosting later this year. The cost is $25,000. However, the cost will be reimbursed 100% through fireworks funding from the communities who are participating as outlined in 9E.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9F, from Public Service Administrator Zimmer, Water System Asset Management Plan.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I move the council concur with the request of Public Service Administrator Zimmer to approve weight and trim to complete the water system asset management plan for the details of 9F.
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Any discussion?
The expense attending to this not to exceed $10,200.
Any further discussion? Any discussion?
It has to do with the state requirements of the State Water Act, and in order to conform with that state requirement, this expenditure has to be put in place for weight and trim performance.
Any further discussion? Do we have a support for that motion?
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Public Administrator Bill Zimmer, permission to scrap the 1994 dump truck.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman Musket.
I move council approve to scrap one 1994 dump truck, which is no longer functional. The dump box will be saved and be reinstalled on a 2004 dump truck as outlined in 9G. The
Support.
cost saving will be $300 for saving that dump box, by the way.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Clayton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda from Recreation Director Ken Greibel, Parkland Park Restroom Replacement Project Contractor Payment Application Number 1.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath.
I move that the council approve the pay application number 1 for the Parkland Park Recreation Replacement Project submitted by Cedrone Associates from Utica, Michigan, in the amount of $43,386.30. It was previously approved in the Cdbg grant as outlined in 9H.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
just a quick question for Director Greibel. Once this is complete, which we're looking forward to being completed, having an ADA compliant bathroom out at one of our park facilities, will there be something to do to increase accessibility for people to the bathrooms? Will there be paving of some pavement way to the bathrooms? Because people who are wheelchair bound right now, that's not there.
The answer is correct. Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
a requirement that we have to do, is that we have to not only make the restroom ADA compliant, but we also have to be able to make it so ADA individuals have free and clear access.
Very good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. Next item on the agenda, item 9I, from Police Chief Lee Gavin, purchase of 4 ERA Henry 24-hour intensive use chairs. Councilman Kozinski.
I move the council agree with Police Chief Gavin for the purchase and pay for the police department office chairs at a cost of
Second. Are you done?
$5,423.96.
A portion of it comes from the AG grant, and a portion comes from the police department budget. The entire amount should be paid, and then as the grant will be received, the amount received from the grant will be restored to the police budget.
Support.
Support by Councilman Musket. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, just want to say I'd seen these in person, and I'm glad, Chief, you've gone in this direction. It's pretty outdated stuff that we had there, so glad we've gone in this direction. It's well deserved.
Long overdue.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 9J, from Police Chief Gavin, purchase of 10 body microphones and chargers.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Musket.
I move council approve for the purchase of payment of 10 body microphone and chargers. This is to replace the current microphones that are no longer in use. The microphones will be purchased from L3 Mobile Vision. The total amount for this purchase is $2,665, which includes $15 for shipping, as outlined in 9J.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Just for Chief Gavin, for a point of clarification on the verbiage with the line that says once a check from JAG funds is received, is it should be deposited back into contractual services, or would it be, or will it be?
It will.
Okay.
When we get the money back, JAG grant is through Wayne County. We make the purchase, we submit it to them, they resupply us the money, return it.
All right, thank you.
So it'll go back in that
The
account.
grant money, though, gets recorded in revenues, not, you don't net
Won't see it.
an expense in a revenue account. That's a no-no.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 11A, from Public Service Administrator Zimmer, Beach Daly Road Water Main Improvement Resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
This doesn't have to go back to Gary, does it?
No, but we thought we would already get started in this project. It's running right along. We did everything from Warren Avenue to Haas. Now, this is from Haas towards Ford Road. And all of a sudden, at the last minute, Mr. Zimmer got opposition from Wayne County, and they want this resolution.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Horvath?
I move that the council approve the Beach Daly Road water main resolution as outlined in 11A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Abdullah. Should it be adopt?
It should be adopted.
Adopt the resolution?
Adopted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a resolution.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Musket.
They want us to, we're going to shut down one of the water mains and just leave it in the ground, is that, and what, could that cause a collapse in the road or sinkhole or anything if something should go wrong with that?
No, the water main is filled with a flowable fill.
Okay, so why would they just be,
Avoid.
if they're putting a new one in, why would they just pull the old one
Well,
out?
the old one's under the curb, so if you pull the old one out, you're going to be replacing the road.
Okay.
So-
The county should be replacing that road anyway. That,
Correct. But you don't
that
want-
road, that road needs replacing anyway.
But the city doesn't want to replace it.
Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 13A, under new business, business license renewals for Livernois, Motorsports and Engineering, Mexican Fiesta, and Dearborn Tavern and Grill.
Mr. Chairman,
Councilwoman Clayton.
I move to approve the business license renewals as submitted in 13A.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kozinski. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please state aye. Aye. Those opposed, the ayes have it. The next item on the agenda, item 13B, permanent traffic control device, no stopping, standing, or parking signs, southbound Kinloch from Lawrence to dead end north of Kinloch School.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Kozinski.
Move council to agree with the recommendation of the police department and install traffic devices as indicated in 13A. Posting of southbound Kinloch from Lawrence to the dead end north of Kinloch School. No stopping, standing, or parking are the designated signs.
Mr. Chair?
Councilman
So
Abdullah.
this, for Chief Gavin, I thought we had addressed this issue and voted on it a while back. Well, why is this one coming up again?
Is this the traffic control, which item were we?
I know, this is item 13B.
13B,
I know the signs are up already.
But this is near Kinloch School, the little dead end, just
We're just
north.
extending it a little bit?
No, this is like a different area.
Oh,
People park just north, it's a dead end on Kinloch.
Right.
Just north of the school, the people park there, so the homeowners complain.
oh, okay, that little, okay, I know where
So
you're
it's
talking
just
about.
like a
So this
half
is
a
the
block.
opposite part of the last one we did,
Down at the south side.
closer to school, okay. Near that circular driveway there?
Yeah,
Yep.
it's, you can't get to the circular drive because, and that's where some people are picking up their kids.
I got you.
North of the school, it dead ends there.
Right, I know what you're talking about
People
now.
park
Okay,
there, so.
I see what that is. Thank you.
Councilman Kozinski. It's not been supported, correct? Do you support it?
Support.
Support by Councilman Abdullah. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. That ends the regular business portion of our meeting. Any announcements from anybody here at the council table? Councilwoman Horvath.
Yeah, I have a couple of things, as usual. I'd like to congratulate all the winners and all the losers. It was a hard-fought fight, and everybody did a good job. So congratulations, everybody.
I think they deserve a hand.
Back in the day when Ruth Canfield was mayor and IT stuff was still in its infancy, we were able to post the election results as they came in, okay? Now we're 1,000% better than we were when Ruth Canfield was mayor. And I had to go on Wayne counties, and they put about 8:30, 9 o'clock, they put numbers up. And then they didn't put any more numbers up until almost 11 o'clock. Why can't we do our own? And don't tell me that we have to take Wayne County, because too bad. Why can't we do our own like we always did in the past? So they're coming up as the results are coming in.
Who's the best person to answer that?
I don't know.
Clerk. City clerk. Clerk.
Mr. Chairman,
Don't tell me.
Councilman Kozinski.
I thought there was some restriction or limitation because of the write-in situation. The absolute record would not be available as in tax payouts because of that situation.
What situation?
The write-in.
Write-in candidates.
Yeah, the clerk notified us.
Well, why don't we let the clerk answer that? It's probably the best
Go right
person to
ahead.
answer that.
If anybody's been here on election evening, to begin with, our poll workers have to close out at the polls. That could take anywhere from 15 minutes to a half hour to an hour. This time, because of a write-in candidate, it took longer. They had to go through all the write-in. They have to drive here from as far as Bedford, which is on the Allen Park border. They don't arrive here till 9:15, 9:30. When they arrive here, we have to go through their equipment, make sure their equipment is here, make sure their bags are sealed. We have a procedure and a checklist which we go through to make sure that everything is properly returned. After that, we get their memory cards and we start to read them in. So that process takes some time.
Well, I guess my
Let me
question
finish,
is, and I don't
Council.
want to argue with
Let me
you.
finish, Councilwoman, if I could. The new equipment that was bought with the capability of modeming, which they modem them from, directly from
Thank you.
the precincts, okay? So those results are received, if the modem works correctly, at Wayne County at 8:15, while those people are still there and not even approaching City Hall. That's why we suggest you go to the Wayne County website and get them. Now, for the first election, I believe it was 9:15, people were raving that the election results were in on the Wayne County website. On this,
They weren't complete, were they?
they were. In the first election, they were complete by 10 o'clock. We had one problem with the modem, and we had to wait for that precinct to come in, and we modem them. On this election, the first election, we had 9 communities having elections. This election, we had, I don't know how many, but a much...
Every community in Wayne County.
Okay. This is new equipment, new technology. Everybody's, for lack of a better term, is feeling their way through this technology. Wayne County was having trouble getting the results refreshed on the website. And part of what I was doing on election night was dealing with Wayne County, and I was on the phone with them for almost 20 minutes trying to figure out what was going on with their website. They were trying to figure out what exactly was returned and if we had any outstanding precincts that didn't report. So with that being said, it took a little longer for the results to get on the Wayne County website, but still, all in all, they had the results prior to when we were able to get them ourselves.
I understand it, but I don't get it.
So that data
Back
is,
in the 90s, we were able to do it. Back in the 2000s, we can't do it. I don't get it. Now, as far as the numbers, they put our numbers up around, I don't know, 9 o'clock, I think. And then they were stagnant until probably 10, maybe longer. However, Dearborn's were up. They kept, the numbers kept coming up for Dearborn. What's different? What was different?
I can't answer that, Councilwoman. I don't know what was going on in Wayne County.
The absentee ballots, Mr. Clerk, are counted last, correct?
The absentee, well, we were, one of our boards ran till about, was it 9:30 or so that they didn't get done counting the absentee ballots. So that's part of the other issue, is that the absentee ballots, the completion of that wasn't until 9:30.
And so that data is, then it's immediately transmitted to Wayne County.
Yes.
Okay, I lose. I give in, I lose. Okay.
Councilman Abdullah.
I just want to acknowledge that we have from Crestwood High School here, Mr. Kadurka's class, government class, and I know he had emailed us that there was going to be about, I don't know how many there are here, but I can see a bunch of youngsters in here. So it's probably good, maybe 15, 20 of you guys here. So I just want to acknowledge them and thank them for participating.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Both myself, Councilman Abdullah, came and spoke to your class.
Yeah.
I remember seeing some
Smart kids.
Councilwoman Clayton.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I wanted to just ask for a follow-up. I serve on an advisory council and we had a meeting today in Lansing. And back in June, we met with the Act 78, actually somebody from the United States Army representative from the Partnership for Youth Success program called PAYS, had met with our Act 78 Commission, as well as some of our command officers for the police department. And we had a conversation earlier tonight, and we hear it frequently throughout the state of Michigan, but not only Michigan, but nationwide, there's a challenge that local law enforcement is facing with hiring and filling positions, in particular finding people who can clear the background checks and go through the trainings and things like that. And so the PACE program, again, the Partnership for Youth Success, creates and supports a hiring pipeline of qualified candidates who would be great for law enforcement. Usually, for example, we have a reserve station here in Inkster of military police who are looking for job placement. Not only do they have the highest background checks and clearances, but they also have the on-the-job training and qualifications through the education component. But now MCOLS, which is the Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement, has an accelerated program for them as well. And I'm curious to get an update because we know that Oakland County Sheriff's Department participates and has for several years, and also the Michigan State Police are getting ready to sign a letter of understanding as well, because they see this, and again, it's a zero cost to the city, but it's trying to create a hiring pipeline, but it's also good for our veterans to find placement in the fields that they're trained in. And I should say highly trained in. So I just wanted to see if there's an update, because we had originally met, like I said, it's been several months back in June, and I know it's been hectic and busy, but wanted to see if there's an update to move forward with this program.
I'll address that if Elizabeth doesn't have a problem. Basically, Act 78 is a merit-based selection program. And we have to make sure that whatever we do conforms to Act 78. The language in the agreement is not quite what I want to see. And originally, I think we had ended up receiving something that was a little different. And then this was a little different. I could be wrong. I think I've received 3 different copies of this proposed agreement. And I think this latest copy has some issues. And they're not huge, but they'll need to end up being addressed, because essentially we have certain things that we have to do in order to essentially allow people to end up being interviewed and testing through the process. So I don't anticipate that there's going to end up being ultimately a problem with this, but we're going to have to tweak some language.
Sure, absolutely. All right, very good. Thank you. I appreciate the update.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Act. Councilman Musket.
I don't know who to address this to, so if someone knows the answer to this, they could answer the question. who do we go to? They've closed the Kroger store at Middle Belt and Ford Road. And we've seen a big influx of shoppers now coming into the Heights Center, which is good for us. But the lack of handicap parking there, who would ultimately take care of that? There's like 6 spots in front of Kroger that are handicapped spots, just nowhere near enough. I've seen people argue with other drivers who don't have handicap parking permits parking in them. They have the row of hedges that are just west of Applebee's, and when you're cutting through the parking lot, you can't see with these hedges there. I believe those need to come down. Who do we contact to see about getting some of this work done in that parking lot?
Well, first it's the landowner, and then planning and zoning, and
we'd have to go to the
ordinance, I would think.
Department of Justice as well, because of the...
and I don't know what the legal amount of handicap spots are supposed to be, but it just seems like there's not enough there, okay? I'd like to see more if possible. I'd like to see the parking lot be a little safer. There's a lot of accidents in that parking lot, and the greenery there, as nice as it is, unfortunately, is causing a lot of the headaches there. So I was just trying to figure out who we can contact. If anybody has a contact information, I'd be glad to carry the football.
Yeah, Dearborn Heights was fortunate in that Kroger decided to keep our store, that anchor tenant, open and close Garden City. But yeah, that would be first the landowner, and then planning and zoning and ordinance.
Well, if anybody has any contact information, I'd love to have it.
The owner of the mall is Showstack?
No, it's Stu Franco.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any contact information for that I could have?
Yeah.
If you can have someone email it to me, and I can call or email them and ask some questions.
I would ask Mohammed if Stu, I would assume they're in compliance under our ordinances.
Yes, but in order to increase the parking spaces, I do think that we have to consult with the land.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, a good gesture by them to put more handicap spots in.
We'd have to talk to the...
Well, like I said, I'm willing to do that work. If I get the information, I'd be more than happy to.
I think the mayor's got the...
I talked to Stu. In fact, we worked together, and they just remodeled, and they had a grand opening last Wednesday, the day after the election. And we have allowed them to have those gas pumps there, which was one of the requirements, and they needed to expand the store, and we certainly allowed them to do that so that they would remain as an anchor in the Heights Shopping Center. Kroger's has a larger store, and in fact, they had invited me some time ago to look at the store. There was one in Toledo, and they sell clothing in these other stores. It's almost like, it's not as big as Myers, but it's more of a Myers type look to it. So they didn't go the whole way because they told Stu that they wanted to take where the Hallmarks was and all that and expand it. So those were negotiations which I don't feel comfortable getting in between Kroger and Franco, the investment. But we were able to help negotiate where they have continued to stay there and they're happy with the store. But the ultimate Kroger store is this bigger superstore like the Myers. And the only way that they could do that was to extend the Kroger's, which would have taken the vacuum cleaner place and other. And I think Stu would have to talk about this, I don't know, but in the negotiations, he didn't seem to be real responsive to moving all those stores, relocating them. I had told them that if because the ceiling is lower when you go west, and so they would have had to expand the ceiling for it to match. And I told him we were in agreement to that. There was also some other changes in the back, which would have been necessary, and I told him I felt that we could work out some kind of a arrangement, because there is retention basins back there. But this is what was agreed to by Stu Franco and Kroger's. I'm happy the Kroger's is still remaining, because that would have been a lot of square feet to try to fill, and that's kind of where we're at.
Are they still doing the expansion that they talked about before?
Do you know, Mohammed?
Director So?
I was just going to say that it would be a good idea, Councilman, that, you know, if you're going to get in touch with them, the good reasoning, the handicap, right now, the number of handicap parking were based on the original area.
Yeah.
And now, since it's increased, we would require more.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, but I'm hoping that we can work something out.
And, you know, it's a new requirement. He needs several more.
They've got more square footage, the store, so
They
they,
added that onto the ordinance, yes.
So the last point I was going to add is that there's a Kroger store in Garden City at Middle Belt and Warren, and then there was one at Middle Belt and Ford Road. And they had the one at the Heights Shopping Center. So when I had talked to the people in Cincinnati about a year ago, the gentleman whose name I forget, but I got his card, and he said, we're going to end up with 2 stores. We cannot have 3 stores. So I said, what do we have to do to keep the Kroger store in Dearborn Heights? So that's, the first thing I did is we agreed to allow him to put those, Kroger's to put the fuel pumps in, much to the objection to some of the area
yeah, the independent
gas station owners, but, you know, that was the cost of doing it. And then if you notice, Kroger's put gas pumps opposite the 7-Eleven at Warren. And I could predict when that was done, they were closing the one at Ford Road. And so you're starting to see the connection. So now that they expanded our store, and like I said, the superstore, and they invited me to go take a look at one, so I did, down in Toledo, is that's a lot more square footage, it's a bigger footprint, and I would not be surprised if ultimately they came back and wanted another expansion, but that's not going to happen next year.
they might have problems filling the other spaces, the tenant mix, so they don't compete with clothing stores that are tenants in the.
Yeah, I was shocked at how much clothing, footwear was in a Kroger's in Ohio. I mean, and they said that is, if they were going to put a brand-new store in Dearborn Heights, that's the store, and that's like 115,000 square feet.
Well, when the Kroger people came in to talk about that expansion, they did mention that location in Dearborn Heights, if not the busiest, it's one of the top busiest in the country. That's why they wanted to increase.
Great, great.
Oh, by the way, just for information, when we were there, the store now is offering halal meats also, correct, Mike?
Yep.
So just for the Arabic speaking community out there, Kroger is now offering halal food at that location.
And I can assist you in looking at the ordinance and see how many spots they need.
I appreciate that.
I'd like to thank our library director, Mike Cafferty, for all the work he did for the Nolan Cemetery. It looks great. The monument is up and the fence is back up and the cemetery's clean. Everybody did a great job.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Any other announcements?
Mr. Chairman,
Councilman Kozinski.
I'd like to acknowledge the people who are here from the Crestwood system. Let them stand and we can applaud their presence because they are the future of, or are actively involved in the governmental issues, and hopefully that'll continue for a long time to come. So please stand so we can recognize you appropriately. want to comment on, and it has to do with Election Day. Curious as I am, I came in to City Hall at about 9 o'clock, and a young 6-foot-tall police officer was on duty, performing exceptionally well. Spoke with him, had some kind words, and he explained to me what his responsibilities were, and by description of his responsibility, he kept a tough, tight rope on the areas that were designated off limits to anyone who would come in. At about 9 o'clock, 3 citizens have come in and demanded that they wanted to go to the counting room. And he says, nothing doing. This is as close as you can get. Fortunately, there was another officer of the city that was dispatched back to the counting room to get authorization for the people to go back to the counting room. But this young police officer stuck by his, no pun intended, he stuck by his guns. His orders were to protect that area that was restricted, and he did exceptionally well. So when you see something of that nature occurring in today's environment of society and police officers, I tip my hat to him because he stood up for what he was told to do and stayed tight right with the orders.
Thank you.
I commend you, Chief Gavin, and you pass that on to, you know who was on duty there, so you can tell him that Joe appreciated his presence and protection of the only single last sacred thing we have, the election process in this country.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Any other announcements from any of the table? Library Director Cafferty?
Hello, Council Chair and Mayor. Just wanted to talk about a couple of upcoming events at the library. Wednesday, November 15th at 7 p.m. at Carrollton County Library. We will be talking about how your gut is your second brain. Learn about how what you put in your body affects cognitive functioning. Simple dietary changes can make you look and feel better while offering your brain protection. Also currently underway is our Food for Fines program. Join us as we gather food for local food banks in the area while paying down those pesky fines. All donations must be marked with a freshness date 6 months prior to expiration. And thank you very much, Council Chair, for talking about Nolan. I also wanted to thank everyone who came out that day for the dedication. We had good attendance despite some very, very cold weather that day. Thanks to the Michigan Historical Commission, the Dearborn Historical Society, the city administration, and council for paying for the placard and continued upkeep of the grounds and the lighting. Thanks to DPW and maintenance for installation of the placard and the clearing of the debris. Thanks to the many volunteers who came out over the past couple years to help, including Suzanne Todd, Harry Dunn, Crestwood NHS, Skazalski family, Councilman-elect Tom Wenzel, Councilwoman Lisa Clayton, Anthony Residlow, and of course Chet Doffman and Tom Sargola, who repaired the stones. Thanks to the Stitt Post, American Legion Stitt Post, and this is kind of a mouthful coming up here, and the Sons of the Union Veterans of the Civil War, John S. Crosby Camp 427 and friends, led by Commander Rick Daines, who were the Civil War enactors out there. And finally, thanks to Christina Laszlo, who with the Goodfellows, the Lions Club, the Stitt Post, the Rotary, and the Kiwanis Club helped organize the Michigan Week programs that helped fund the restoration. So that's all for now.
You did mention Kiwanis.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, Rotary and the Kiwanis Club, yep, list of the clubs. So that's all for now. Thanks for your time, and see you at the library.
Thank you, Mike. Any other announcements? You want to come up and...
Just real quick, I was going to make an announcement just for our citizens. Month of November at the police department, we do Movember. We allow our officers to grow facial hair. So they contribute $30, and we collect the money and we put it to a good use. Last year, we bought hats and gloves for the elementary kids. So this year, we'll do something at the end of November. But just for our residents, when you see our officers out there with their beards, and we'll use Chris up here, he grows it a little darker than mine. So just let our citizens know we're not getting a little sloppy. We're just, for $30, we collect money and we let the officers grow beards, mustaches for the month. So that's just to let the council and our citizens know. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, state your name and...
Good evening. My name is Todd Eichwell. I'm a local business owner at Todd's Pharmacy, 25871 Ford Road. We're in the Dearborn, I'm sorry, we're in the Green Land Shopping Center. Just wanted to kind of make a quick public statement. Many of local pharmacies in the area were part of something called the Yellow Jug program, where you can dispose of unwanted, unused, and expired medication. Unfortunately, this company has gone out of business. As of right now, as of December 1st, I, as well as Assured Waste Solutions, as of December 1st, got licensed as an authorized collector with the DEA. We have a receptacle in our store, and it's bolted to the ground. It's a steel container. Not our customers. Anybody in Dearborn Heights can come. It's a free service. It's like a mailbox. You just drop medication in. It's picked up once a month, incinerated so it doesn't go into the water or anything like that. So it's like a safety precaution for our city. Keep it safe.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Diane Webb, our Wayne County Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here, Mayor, Chairman, and members of your council. I've got a few updates for you. Last time I was here, several things were brought to my attention by the council. So I'm going to start with those things. Councilman Muscat, you mentioned that you think that there should be turn signals at Ford and Gully and Ford and Silverly Lane.
Left-hand turn lane.
Right, left-hand turn signals. Those were referred to MDOT, so they're going to look into those, and as soon as I get an answer back from them, I'll get back with you.
Thank you.
Okay, absolutely. And then we also had a member of the audience, I believe it was Vince, who asked me about the Joy Road and Middle Belt turn signal. So our engineers looked into that in Franklin High School, and I'm mentioning this all to you because I want you to keep Riverside in mind, and I'll go there next. Perfect segue. Franklin High School hired an engineering firm that did a study, and what they ended up coming up with, because that's where I was getting a ton of complaints in Livonia on Joy and Middle Belt. They said they wanted a turn signal there. It was backing up traffic, especially in the morning, and then 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon or thereabouts, just like the same thing that's going on over there at Riverside. What the school did with it, though, is instead of actually, their engineers did not recommend a change, adding a turn signal at Joy and Middle Belt. What they recommended was using their frontage of their property. And if you've driven by Franklin lately, Franklin High School, they've added a turnaround on the inside of they expanded it. So it's not, they didn't have a lot of width between them and the road, but they had the length. So what they did is they added a big loop in front of the building, and that helps better manage the traffic flow in front of that building. So that's why the light hasn't been changed. I just wanted to look into that for you because you asked me. So now, Riverside. I just sent you an email while you were sitting here. I don't have everybody's email on my personal phone, but I have the mayor, and I have Chrissy, and I have Chief Gavin, and I have Bill Zimmer. And I sent all of you, if you look at your phones, I just sent you an email, so I would appreciate it if you would forward it to the rest of the council members on my behalf. And then if you could let me know also who I need to contact at the schools, because this is what I'm proposing that we do with Riverside. I've talked to a ton of people since this has come up. It's been coming up since, I've been hearing about it for a year, and it's time that we nail it down and get all the parties together and do something with it. And especially now that you're going to take control of the property at the golf course, you're going to have more options. So I sent you, the email that I sent you includes a link to a webinar that's going on about school circulation traffic studies. so timely. It's going on November 28th at 1 o'clock. And it's free, and you can call in and you can learn about what they're doing with these traffic studies, because this isn't just going on the Riverside, it's going on all over the place. So if you want to share that information on the webinar with everybody, I would appreciate it, and so that people can go and listen to that. Now, the second thing is you guys are the host of the Federal Aid Committee meeting on December 12th at Horne Valley. And that's where the DPS directors from all of the communities in Wayne County come together and get updates on roads, where the roads funding's going. They look at studies that have been taken in Wayne County's engineering just did the reassessment of all of the roads in Wayne County, and they reprioritize them. So I have been fighting for Joy Road between Beach Daly and Telegraph, and Beach Daly north of Ford Road to Ann Arbor Trail for like ever, okay? And for the longest time, they haven't even been on the list. They are on the list, but they're not on the top of the list, but they are on the list. So we're moving along in that direction, but that's the meeting where those things are discussed. So that meeting is from 10 to 11, and then after that meeting, what I'm trying to do is coordinate a meeting for anybody on your board that is interested in being part of the conversation, and Bev Watts from DPS, that director of DPS, Ron Agazinski, the head of Wayne County Engineering, and probably one or two of his other head engineers are going to stay after the road FACT meeting, the Federal Aid Committee meeting, and are willing to meet with Dearborn Heights. So if you could have representation from your police department that deals with it, representation from your school board, representation from the city, and representation from Riverside Middle School itself, its principal probably, or Crestwood School superintendent. But those are the parties that should come to the table. And while we got the county in Dearborn Heights at Horne Valley, I think there's no better time than to seize the moment to get all those players there to come up with a solution with what we're going to do with the traffic issues that surround Riverside Middle School. So I'm offering this to you as an invitation. I would appreciate for those who got my email that if you could forward it on to the rest of your council and whoever you think is important as it relates to Riverside Middle School. Okay, the school district. I'll let you decide. Just let me know, Mayor. Could you do that for me?
Yeah, I'll make a call to the superintendent and suggest they might want, but it'll be her call.
Who she has there.
Yes, yeah.
Works for me. And then if you could just, and then she could probably even invite them, let them know time and place. But if we, they're gonna have the other meeting from 10 to 11, 11:30. So they said they'd be willing to start at 11:30. I would really like to keep it to 12 people maybe if we can. I don't want it to be crazy. It's because then it's just going to be we won't be able to get anything done. Be too many people. So if we could get representation from each body, involved in the process, that would be good. Okay, so
thank you.
You're welcome. So onward and upward. We'll address that. Anybody has any questions that relates to that, you can ask me here, or you can feel free to call me anytime after. Okay. Before I forget, I want to congratulate everybody who ran in the elections. Whether you won or you lost, you wouldn't have ran if you didn't care about this community. So God bless you all for running and caring about the community. For those of you that did win, I look very much forward to working with you in the future. And if you have any questions between now and when you take office, don't hesitate to call me. My door is open, always, okay? And then lastly, well, I got these. I'm going to leave for you. This is a public hearing that's going on at the Romulus Community Center, and it has to do with the waste, the toxic deep well injections, the deep well toxic waste injections. Well. The EPA is trying to increase the pressure by which they put the toxic waste into those wells by 25%. And what that'll do is it'll push that toxic waste further. Okay, it's only 5 miles away from us now. So, and it's in our it's next to our water table. So this isn't a Romulus issue. This is a southeastern Michigan issue. This is a Michigan issue. This is a surrounding state issue. It's a Great Lakes issue. Why the EPA, the federal government, is so insistent on sending all their garbage and letting Canada send their garbage in Ohio and Pennsylvania and now these deep injection wells in Michigan when the Great Lakes represent 20% of the freshwater resource in the whole world. I don't know. It really sickens me. But I'm going to be there to fight it. It's a public hearing. I'm adamantly against it. We're opposed to it. Ray Basham and my colleague from Taylor, who wrote many pieces of legislation opposing these hazardous waste deep well injection wells, and Al Haydes, who represents my dear friend and colleague on the commission that represents Romulus, will also be at this hearing, and it's open to the public. And as many butts in the seats as we can get in opposition to this, the better. So spread the word. I will be contacting every environmental agency that worked with us when we went after saving the golf course, and we'll try to get the people there. So that's the actual public hearing is going to be held Wednesday, November 29th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. The public hearing actually goes from 7 to 8, and it's at the Romulus Athletic Club at 35765 North Line in Romulus. And here's all of the extra information on it, what they're trying to do. Can you pass it along to them? So everybody should have a copy of that. And if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to contact me. Lastly, I want to say thanks to everybody on Make a Senior Smile Day. I want to end on a happy note. We had about 50 volunteers come out from Dearborn Heights. We did about 20 houses here in Dearborn Heights. We did 52 overall in all three communities combined, with about 125 volunteers across my district. We did the houses for, income eligible seniors and disabled veterans, and they were very, very appreciative. And I just want to say thanks to the sponsors. DTE came out and sponsored. Senator Kniezek sponsored the breakfast. A couple of your hardware stores, your Home Depot on Michigan Avenue, helped us out with some bags. Papa John's on the south end on Telegraph Road, patronize them because they give us a great deal on the pizzas for our volunteers. And so does Studs Hardware, Greenland Market, Saturn Market. Here right in Dearborn Heights, they donated, juice and goodies and water and pop and stuff like that for the volunteers. So it was really got some support from the local businesses in the community this time. That's really new, so that's excellent. And then I got to do a huge shout out to the volunteers. I want to thank the mayor for letting us, use Eaton Center, for coming out and meeting with the seniors, the police chief and the fire chief and Chrissy and Jack McIntyre that come out and represented the city. Marge Horvath, thank you so much, and thank you for your work with the Key Club and the Key Club in Annapolis High School. I'm telling you, they're just the best. They come out in huge numbers. They work their butts off. They look great in the pictures. We always make sure that we get them in the paper because they're just awesome, and they really enjoy doing it. And I was talking to some of the kids, and some of them had come back. This was their second and third time doing it. And some of them, even after they graduate, come back with other kids that they know from the school. So it's really an awesome thing that they do. And so we really want to send that shout out and that thanks to them. And Beth Jackett, their coordinator, who works with Marge to get them there every year. And so super awesome. And the Wayne County Master Gardeners that came out, and Jaylee Lynch, my staff that coordinated the whole thing on this side of town and this side of my district. So thanks a million, Jaylee. You did a fantastic job, and we helped make a lot of seniors smile, so it was a good day. And God, we got to thank God. You know why? Because it rained like heck for a week before and a week after. Actually, it started probably 3 o'clock that same day. So he let us go out and rake leaves, and he gave us a beautiful day for probably 6 hours until we got done, and then it started raining again. But we were able to get it out. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one.
And our representative from Congressman John Conyers' office.
Good evening, and hopefully I'm the last because I see it's getting close to 9:25 here. And for most of you, like myself, we've probably been going at it since 7 o'clock this morning, if not earlier. I just want to bring greetings on behalf of the Congressman. We will be hosting a Veterans Resource Fair this Saturday at Piquette Square in Detroit. We're hopeful that some of the residents here from Dearborn Heights may be able to attend. I know there's an email that I had forwarded over to the councilman. I'm looking forward to a reply. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do something out here in Dearborn Heights, if not the congressman, myself. I know we get a number of phone calls from residents here in Dearborn Heights asking the congressman to support certain positions. We value those tremendously. He gets a daily log of all the calls that come in. So we're hopeful that you'll continue to engage us in that way. But I do want to thank all of you for those that have ran. Running for office is not necessarily an easy thing. I've done it twice myself. Wasn't victorious, but it's one of those things where when people are behind you, they're saying that we value what you're doing. And we want you to represent us. Irregardless of if you win or lose, you're still a champion. So I thank you again for all those that ran, and look forward to seeing many of you perhaps at our Veterans Resource Fair on Saturday.
And Larry, if we want to reach you, is there a phone number you can give us?
Absolutely. 313-961-5670. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I know we have the 3 newly elected council members in the audience and the clerk and the treasurer on, I think it's December 14th?
The 12th, I think.
12th. Please come. We're going to have the judges here to swear all the elected officials in, so bring your family. We'll have a little ceremony. And also the clerk and the treasurer, the 2 judges will be here. And then we also want to pay a great degree of respect and thank you to 2 long-serving council members that night who that will most likely be their last meeting. And this community is far better because of the cooperation and the involvement of Councilwoman March Horvath and Councilman Joe Kaczynski. Thank you for your long service.
Just for corrections, 3.
What?
Tom Berry, 2.
And Tom Berry.
Yes.
3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other announcements? All right, then, if none, we'll have members of our audience come up. Please state your name.
Tom
and the street
Wenzel,
you live on.
4218 Tulane. First of all, I want to thank all the residents who took time out of their busy day this past election to come out and vote, especially ones that voted for me. And I'd like to echo Bob's words about Mike and the Nolan Cemetery. And if anybody doesn't know, it is now is it a national historic land? State historic landmark. The sign that they're talking about is a big sign. It says it tells a little story about it. It's really, really cool thing to go by there and see that. And I just heard the sad news tonight, Bob, talking about Steve Roberts, a fellow watershed steward commissioner. He is very passionate about the Ecorse Creek cleanup. And we have, for the cleanup every year, we have Honor Society students helping us out. 20 or 30 of them come out every year. And it's not too early to push that. In his honor, I'd like to mention that the Ecorse Creek cleanup is beginning of May normally, and we need as many volunteers and sponsors as possible. Thank you.
Yeah, Steve Roberts, he had a cancer in his brain when he was 8 and had it removed and had a shunt in his head. And he had some real health challenges, but he did great with the watershed stewards. He really worked hard at it. We'll miss him.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Move to adjourn.
Support.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming.